Hi, my name is Elena Allen. I am a 5th grade teacher here in West Michigan. I have been teaching for 4 going on 5 years, and I'm so excited to share with you some of the things that I've learned across my journey. So today I present to you 10 tips that I think every new teacher should know, or now that we're going through a pandemic, every teacher should know. So stay tuned and keep on watching. Tip number 1, take vitamins. We are living through a pandemic, and now more than ever, you need a strong immune system, especially when you're dealing with kids. So what I like to do is take 3 different immune boosting vitamins every single day. The first one I like are these vitamin C gummies. One, I like them because they're gummies, so I love to take them because I feel like I'm eating candy. And 2, these are perfect for boosting and supporting a strong immune system. Second, my favorite are elderberries. Now, I remember first taking these a while ago when I was sick and I was in my principal's office and I was just telling her about it, and she was like, well, why don't you take a few of these and you'll feel better? And I did. So ever since that day, I went out and bought my own. Now, I will admit these can be a little bit pricey depending on where you go or what size you get. You can usually find these for anywhere between $15 to $30 at your local nutrition store or sometimes at your local grocery store. And lastly, these mushroom immune boosting pills. Now, I started taking these right when COVID hit. I went to my local nutrition store and I asked the clerk, what are some good immune boosting vitamins? And the guy recommended these. He said he has been taking them for 7 years and hasn't been sick once, and that sold me. So I purchased these and I've been quite satisfied with them. My next tip is to always ask for support and help. We are all experiencing something that no one has gone through ever before in life. So there are a lot of things that are new to us and things that we don't know. So collaborating and asking for help is only going to enrich and enhance your teaching styles. So one thing that I regret not doing enough my first couple of years of teaching was asking for help, because I felt like, well, if I ask for help, maybe people will think that I don't know what I'm doing or I'm not a good teacher, and that's not the case, because teaching is a community. So everybody is here to help one another. And if you guys want a video on some things that I plan on doing in my classroom, I don't know exactly whether I'll be online or in person quite yet. We are kind of finalizing things. I'm pretty sure I'll have an answer by next week, but I'm just trying to prep as much as I can, and I can definitely do a video to help people. But like I was saying, don't be afraid to reach out for help or get new ideas, because like I said, this is a new time for everybody in education, and this is the time where we need to be collaborating and bouncing ideas off each other. And you may have something that could help someone else too, but you wouldn't know if you don't ask and you don't try to support others as well. My next tip is to document everything. So whether you're in person or you're online, there will be things that you need to document, whether it's a time you reach out to a parent for contact through email or phone call, whether it's a student behavior or something concerning like a student is sleeping or not coming to class, or anything that you feel should be noted, I say document it. So what I like to do is keep a journal right at my desk, so that way if something happens, I can just make myself a quick note, write the date, the time it happened, and a brief description, so that way if I need to talk to a parent after school about something, or a behavior specialist, a principal, anything of that sort, I have that logged here. This also comes in handy for behaviors, because if your school is anything like mine, you have an online behavior logging system in which you have to enter student behaviors. So for me, that I don't want to take time throughout my instruction to stop and put it in the computer, because that can be timely, and then that leads for off-task behaviors and all types of stuff that you don't want. So keeping those behaviors and taking 30 seconds to quickly jot something down and then entering it in the computer at the end of the day is very beneficial. Also, especially if you're remote, I see this being beneficial if you have to reach out to a parent about something but you're not getting any responses, or you are noticing that a student isn't participating, or you're noticing that someone has been absent frequently. I'm sure that you have to take attendance, but it's just also good to log that, so when conferences roll around, you have a written log of everything. And if a parent or a principal is concerned about, well, this person is saying that you weren't contacting them or they never received a call, you can refer to this and say, oh yeah, on August 28th I called and I left a message, and it just kind of is like a reassurance for you. So my next tip is for you to be intentional with your planning and to make things transferable between online and in-person learning. Now, this is going to be super important because things could go either way. If you're remote one minute and you plan on being remote all year, you might switch mid-year. If you're in person and something happens and your governor calls for a shutdown, you might be going online. So I think that having assignments both online and things that are print-offs is going to be beneficial to you. Also, being intentional with your planning so far as what am I actually going to be teaching? Now, I know that everybody's lesson plan styles vary, but I like to be super intentional with mine, like having, okay, I'm meeting with this small group today about this topic. I'm stopping here to ask a question. Here's where I'm going to stop and have a turn and talk. Those things will help your lesson flow. And if you have that surprise observation, okay, you will be prepared and you'll have everything out and everything's gonna flow. You'll have your copies, you'll have your slideshows up, your visuals, your manipulatives ready. Those are all things that are super important into having a cohesive learning environment, because when you're not organized, when you're not planning, it shows and it stresses you out, it stresses your students out, and you don't want that. Trust me, I'm talking from experience here. I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any means, because I am speaking truly from experience. I've been on both ends where I'm super prepared and not so prepared, because let's be honest, life happens. If you're anything like me, you might be in grad school and you might be taking classes, so you kind of took a back burner with the planning this week and things are all over the place, but that's okay because next week you'll do better. But the more you try to plan and be intentional with it, the better your lessons will be. My next tip is to have routines and procedures for literally everything in your classroom, whether it's getting a pencil, getting a tissue, putting materials away, lining up for recess, going to specials, waiting for the bathroom, what you do at recess. All those things are going to be important for your classroom to run smoothly. Now, on top of having these routines and procedures, you want to have visuals of them around your room so you can always reference them throughout the day. Well, on top of your routines and procedures and your visuals, you are going to want to have a lot of nonverbal communication signals for your students. For instance, if you're in the middle of teaching and you see a student raising 2 fingers, if that means get a tissue, you can just give that student a nod versus having to stop the lesson to say, yes, you may get a tissue. Those types of things can throw you off track, and then you lose your place in reading, and then you got to ask a student, and then that allows them to start having conversations, just a whole bunch of things that you don't want. So having those routines and procedures in place are going to be beneficial to you in the long run, because it will help your room run smoothly. I'm going to do a separate video on some of the things that I do in my classroom, because I love routines and procedures. Like they just give me a little spark or something. It just makes me feel so good to know that I have these different things and students know what's expected of them. And when students know what's expected of them, they will hold themselves accountable and start holding each other accountable as well. My next tip is to always communicate to everyone in your building, your students, your parents, okay? Because communication is literally the key to success. Now, there will be times where maybe a situation happens, or say a student has a behavior problem and the behavior specialist deals with it. You want to make sure that you follow up with that behavior specialist on what the consequence was, if they already contacted parents, if the dean or the principal was made aware of it, because you want to be as included in every single process as possible. Because it really is not good if a parent calls you and goes, hey, so my kid says they're suspended, and you're like, what? I had no idea. Or say there's a meeting, and you didn't communicate with whoever needs to be there that you will be late. Just things like that. All types of things will happen, but being open and communicating with everyone will be beneficial to you, because things sometimes get misconstrued or you forget things, and that's okay. But to communicate clearly with people is something that not only helps build the culture in your classroom, but makes people want to be in your classroom, makes parents trust you with their child, makes parents, feel like they have a relationship with you, and building that rapport with them as well as your students and your coworkers is super important. My next tip is always remain calm and and consider all perspectives when dealing with difficult situations. Anyone that's taught with me within these last 4 going on 5 years of me teaching knows that I've been through some of the most unexpected situations as a teacher, as I'm sure many other teachers have as well, that nothing could have ever prepared you for. Not any professional development, not any book, not any article, not any student teaching experience, but just strictly being in the moment. But one thing that I can tell you helps me so much is to just be calm. One, because it helps you kind of take a step back and evaluate a situation. And also, kids feed off of energy. So if they see you being frustrated, angry, and upset, then they'll become frustrated, angry, and upset. And you don't want that. You want to be the example. Also, you want to look at the different perspectives that are happening in the situation, because sometimes our adult ego brain tells us, okay, this is what happened, this has to be the reason why it happened, and that's the end of the discussion because I'm the adult and I'm going to make the decision here. And we're not always right. So sometimes you just got to pull people aside, pull students aside, and get their perspective, and take your time to take yourself out of the situation and think from the perspective of the student or whatever party is involved in the situation. Take time off when needed. Let me tell you, teaching is very, very, very complex. It drains you some days. Some days you wonder why you became a teacher. Some days you cry. Some days you're upset. And some days you're just going through your own life problems, and I think that it is important for you to take time when you need it. Now, if you're anything like me, you hate leaving your classroom. You like to be in control. You're a bit of a control freak, which I think most teachers are, because, that's just kind of how we are. We like things our way. But I think that you got to let that go. You got to not be afraid to have a sub in your room for one day, because guess what? You have a team that supports you, that's going to be there as much as they can. You have sub plans, and yeah, things may not get done. Things may happen, but guess what? Everything can be fixed, okay? So you gotta trust that everything's gonna be okay. You gotta take that time to yourself, because if you don't, coming to work and being upset and being, down or, not in a good headspace isn't good for yourself, and it isn't good for your students. So taking a day or two to, decompress, whatever that looks like to you. Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's laying in bed and doing absolutely nothing. Maybe it's taking a day off on a payday and going shopping and relieving some stress, or going to visit family. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever self-care is for you, I suggest you do it, because I don't know how most schools are, but my school, we don't roll over days. So it's not like if I don't take any days off, they build up and I could take a grand 1 month vacation. No, I'm just joking. I would never do that. But what I'm saying is that, the days are there for you to use them. So when you absolutely need to, take that day and come back, and you'll feel much better. And my last and final tip, have fun and remember your why. You know why you became an educator. Whatever your reason is, remember that and live in that. Yeah, you will have good days, you will have bad days, but guess what? You are a superhero to your students, and they are going to love you, they're going to appreciate you, and you got to remember to have fun. Sometimes we get caught up in data collection and testing and all the hoopla of teaching, but you gotta take a step back and have some fun. Do some fun things. Don't be afraid to say, okay, the mood is tense right now. Let's take a 10-minute recess break, a 2-minute dance break to get our wiggles out and just lighten up the mood. Have fun with teaching. Teaching is one of the most rewarding experiences that you'll ever have in your life, and you want to soak up every minute of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video and found it useful, pulled a few things that you might utilize in your classrooms. And if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And also check out my last video. Quick little backstory. I did that video with my students about 3 years ago. There was a contest for a 1-minute safety video. So we thought, why not make a music video? And out of all 83 schools, we won first place. So we got to have a little party with our $100 gift card. And my students will always be asking me, where's the video? Where's the video? Put it on YouTube. So that actually inspired me to start this channel. So if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. And I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. And remember, it's always a great day to be an educator.